Hi and welcome into the Kitchen Sink podcast where we talk about everything but the kitchen sink. Oh, rise and shine. If y'all know, you know. Oh, my battery's already going to die. That's fucking fabulous, isn't it? Let's restart. Stormy. I'm sorry if you can see sweat. I'm very fucking warm, right? I have got a fan in this room, so if I have to put it on eventually during this episode, I'm super sorry, but it's what I'm going to have to do because, guys, we're getting into the summer months, okay? So, welcome into Kitchen Sink, the penultimate episode, because I think next week's going to be the last episode. I'll talk more about this in probably the next episode or whatever, but I'm going to take about a month off from the podcast just because, who knows, I might come back with a co-host, or several co-hosts, who knows, like I kind of want to switch it up. This podcast is super fun and I love it, but sometimes like there's some topics that I want to talk about that like would just be better if I could speak to someone else and have their take on a situation. Does that make sense? So eventually I would love a co-host of sorts. I've got plans to potentially bring in maybe one or two co-hosts. So who knows, maybe that's going to happen in the future, but I think we're going to have this week's episode, which is kind of all over the place. Then next week's episode is going to be like a really fun final episode. I will say, though, that next week's episode is probably going to be coming up late because I'm going to London next weekend and I don't come back until Monday. So I wouldn't be surprised if next week's episode isn't up till maybe Tuesday. But I'll try and get it up as soon as possible. Maybe even Monday, depending on what time I get back, I suppose. But yeah, so that's what's happening in terms of the podcast in the future. You might notice over there, hello, we've got another little angle going on. If you're watching, you'll be able to see. I'm shooting a little bit of other footage on my little camcorder, just to try and switch it up and give you a slightly different angle. It's not the best angle, but I feel like it kind of shows you the makeshiftness that is this office and the podcast space, right? You can really see that over there. But anyway, hello, welcome into another episode. We're here because we're here every week. But specifically this week, I'm talking about all sorts, right? I want to talk about a YouTuber that's potentially joined a cult. I want to talk about my Beyonce giveaway. I want to talk about the new Taylor Swift Until Dawn version of Midnights that she released, because I've got some choice things to say. And I also want to do some Am I the Assholes? So that's what we're going to do today. It's going to be a bit of a here, there and everywhere episode, but hopefully you're here for the fuckery and along for the ride. But yeah, before we get into the girth of the app, make sure you're reviewing the episodes, maybe rating us 5 stars if you'd like to, subscribing to the YouTube channel if you're not subscribed, but I don't imagine you're watching this and you're not subscribed. Yeah, just do all the things. Follow me on the Kitchen Sink podcast Instagram. And anyway, let's get into the app. So before we get into something a bit more like deep, I suppose, because it's quite crazy. I first of all want to talk about the Midnights Until Dawn version because that just arrived this morning. I'm filming this on the Friday. So she released the Until Dawn version. I've listened. I've heard hits different before. I did search that on YouTube and listen to that because obviously that was just the Target edition before, but now we have it on streaming platforms, so that's amazing. So I've listened to that already, so that's not a shock. I have heard that, but it is still a bop, okay? I obviously then listened to Snow on the Beach with more Lana, which, guys, it's incredible. It's beautiful. It's what the original should have been, low-key, to be honest. But I do understand why it wasn't, because if you guys knew this or not, I don't know, but I'll just tell you here. Their whole purpose with the song wasn't necessarily to have Lana be a feature. She was mainly just meant to like help writing it. She did a few background vocals, but that was kind of it. But obviously I imagine, because obviously some people can be a bit funny about if they hear a certain artist on a track but they're not like wrote down as a feature. Some fans can be a bit irritated by that. So I think probably just to cover her bases, Taylor just decided to add Lana on as a feature. That's what I'd imagine. Because obviously, like, if you can hear Lana's voice, you may as well just put her on, which she's done before with like Haim, and you know, like she's done these kind of features before, so that's nothing new. But oh my god, nothing new featuring Phoebe Bridgers. Anyway, but yeah, so she released the more Lana version, and guys, it's so beautiful. They sound incredible. They've changed like the octaves or something, or the pitch or something for some of the parts, so it's actually quite different. And like there's a load more new vocals added in. There's loads more like backing vocals, louder backing vocals. There's more little ad-libs from Lana that, like, obviously she has her own, she sings the whole second verse now. So I do think that this version is the better version, just because like we get to hear more Lana. So why wouldn't I want that? Do you know what I mean? I love me some Lana. So I'm happy that we've got it, and I'm really, really pleased, and I'm excited to get to know the new version, because Lana did like she does like little hums in the background, like ha, ha, like I don't know what it is off the top of my head, because I've only listened to the song twice. But she does like little, like along with the tune, she like does the little hums in the background. There's like ad libs, and it's just gorgeous. So yeah, highly recommend listening to the new version of Snow on the Beach. It's absolutely beautiful. I mean, on the topic of Lana, have you all heard "Say Yes to Heaven"? I've heard it, which is kind of unfortunate for her. But this song's kind of doing better than "Did You Know That There's a Tunnel Under Ocean Boulevard." It's doing better than like the whole album did, like singles and everything. Which, I mean, I guess it is what it is. But it is a beautiful song. But it's just irritating because obviously it was like an unreleased song that people leaked. So then obviously now she's decided to release it, which I'm glad she has, because it's a gorgeous song. But it's just a pity that that's kind of like doing better than most of her recent album, which is, it is what it is. But at least she's winning. At least she's winning somewhat, you know? And it is a beautiful song. I love it. It's gorgeous. So yeah, love that. The last thing I want to speak about in terms of Taylor and whatever is the Ice Spice feature. Now, I'm not about to roast anybody, but from when this was announced, I was just a bit confused, because I understand that Ice Spice is having her like little moment, if you will, currently. Like, she's really popping off, isn't she? So I do completely understand how it's kind of a smart move, and it's fun, and it's like Taylor's arguably at the top of her game currently, and like Ice Spice is obviously like a very new up and coming female rapper. So I understand why we have it. Do I think her feature makes sense? No, I don't, because realistically, I do think maybe she could have done a different song, and she maybe would have suited better. Like, my thought would maybe be Vigilante shit. Maybe she would have sounded better on that if we wanted to do a feature. But I just don't necessarily see how Ice Spice's tone and the way she raps kind of works on Karma, because Karma is a very like upbeat, bubblegum pop, high-pitched vocal from Taylor. In my mind, it just doesn't really make sense. So I'll be the first to say I don't necessarily love the feature. I don't think it really works. I won't be streaming the new version. I'm like I said this on my Instagram, but I'm super happy for Ice Spice, because I think it's an incredible opportunity. And yeah, so overall, I'm happy for her, but no. That's just my opinion on that. So I guess let me know down below your thoughts. But yeah, I don't necessarily think we needed it, and I also don't know if Karma was necessarily the song to be doing a feature with Ice Spice on it, you know. But I mean, realistically, on Midnights, was there many others? The only one I can really think that could have worked would have been Vigilante shit, just because she could have gone a bit harder, I guess. I don't know. It just didn't make sense. Like the tone of her voice didn't really work with Taylor's like high-pitched vocal. But that's just my opinion. I'm gonna stop right there before we continue and before I piss people off. Okay? So there's that. Okay, the next thing I want to talk about is my Beyonce tour giveaway. I feel like a real YouTuber now that I'm like properly doing like a giveaway, a fun time. And I mean, I didn't plan to do this giveaway. Let that be known. This has just kind of happened this way, and I feel like it would be a fun thing to do for you guys, and kind of like give back to you guys a little bit. Because I know from a few episodes ago or whatever, or when I went live and spoke about the fact that I was going to Beyonce. I know quite a lot of people were like either sad that they couldn't go, like maybe they couldn't afford it, whatever. Like it is what it is. So I kind of want to give maybe two of you or one of you and a friend, I don't know, the opportunity to come and see Beyonce. So you guys will be listening or watching this podcast tomorrow when I'm filming this, so it'll be Saturday. And when you're hopefully listening to this, the Beyonce tour that I'm going to will be in a week's time. So I know this is very last minute. I know it's a bit of a quick turnaround, but essentially, quick backstory as to why I'm now giving away 2 tickets. I spoke about in a podcast episode a few weeks ago how I essentially bought 2 tickets from this different website, not Ticketmaster, a different website. So I ordered them off this different website, and then I found out after that website doesn't always have the best track record, and like sometimes obviously scammers use that website. So I kind of wrote off those tickets, having spent £200 on them. I kind of wrote off those tickets as just scam tickets. I didn't imagine I was going to get them. I was just going to bide my time and then obviously wait for the tour to be done, and then I'd be able to get a refund. So that was my plan. But then yesterday, I obviously then after that, I bought 2 more tickets from Ticketmaster specifically. Okay. And then yesterday I received an email being like, oh, your tickets from such and such, this reseller, they're not sending you them through our website. They're sending you them through Ticketmaster. So they obviously sent me the tickets. I had to accept the tickets, and then the tickets were in the exact same place as my legit tickets from Ticketmaster. So they're legit tickets. So now I've got 4 tickets. So me and my friend were going to use the original tickets that I'd bought from that other website, because obviously now they're legit, because they're slightly better seats. They're a bit further back, but they're a little bit more of a central location. So like the screens and everything will be a bit more easy to see. But the other tickets, they're right at the... If you're looking at the stage, they're right to the left side. I can obviously put on probably the seating plan on screen, so then you can I'll circle where these tickets are, because they're the tickets that I'm giving away. I understand they're not a very good seat. They're not the most impeccable seats, but I think some people would just rather be in the room, because that was kind of my perception. It was just yeah, they're not good seats. Yeah, I probably could do better, but at least I'll be in the room and I'll still be experiencing it. And I actually saw someone posted on TikTok or something a similar view to what those tickets would have, and it still looked really good. So you'll still be able to see her. So they're the 2 tickets that I'm giving away. Now I'll probably announce maybe on Instagram or something. Or maybe in one of my videos to come. I don't know, because it's obviously going to be a pretty quick turnaround that I'm going to have to announce it probably the next day. So, yeah, I'm going to announce the winner soon. I might go live and announce the winner, because I think that's almost the easiest way. And then what I'm planning on doing is to enter the giveaway. Here we go. So if you want to enter the giveaway for the 2 tickets, obviously I can't pay for your travel. I can't pay for a hotel or whatever. So I'd imagine the ideal scenario would be people that are living in and around London, or can go there for the day and go home or whatever. Do you know what I mean? Or can sort out their own accommodation or travel, right? Because unfortunately I can't cover that also. So to enter the giveaway, if you're interested, all you literally need to do is follow me on the Kitchen Sink podcast Instagram, which is, I'll put it on screen, but I'm pretty sure it's the Kitchen Sink _podcast on Instagram. Follow the Instagram and comment down below your Instagram handle and that you'd obviously like the tickets. And then when I pick a person, I can obviously DM you through the Kitchen Sink Instagram. So that'll mean that I'll be able to see if you actually are following me or not. And then obviously I'll get in touch through Instagram. Okay. And I'm sorry for those of you that may not have social media or Instagram specifically, but I think that's just the easiest way of doing it. So that's the way to enter the giveaway. And I'm excited. And who knows, you might see me there. Because what I'm able to do is obviously when I announce the winner, I'll get in contact. You need to have an email that I'll be able to send the tickets to, because on Ticketmaster you can just transfer tickets to someone else's email. So once I obviously find out your details, I'll need your email so I can transfer you the tickets afterwards. Okay, so that's the giveaway. They're the details. I don't really need anything else because I don't care for like making people do loads of stuff just to enter a giveaway. It is what it is. I've got the tickets. Do you know what I mean? I just want to give them away to you guys, so you can go. But yeah, and then I'm excited. I'm excited to hopefully see whoever the winner is. I'm excited to see your outfit, potentially see you there. And I mean, if anyone else is listening to this and you're going on the same day, because it's a Saturday, the 3rd of June that we're going. Doors open at 5. Yeah, I'll hopefully see you there. And if you see me, say hi. I'm very friendly, I promise. But yeah, enter down below in the comments and follow the Kitchen Sink on Instagram. Okay, let's move on. Okay, the next thing that I want to talk about is a bit more of a serious topic. And I'm not sure if any of you guys will have heard about it, but this thing has kind of been happening on YouTube with this certain YouTuber. And it's essentially this YouTuber called... The thing is, the reason I'm talking about it is because last night and this morning, I've been watching stuff to do with this certain YouTuber and like what's been going on. And essentially, she's potentially joined a cult without really knowing that it's a cult or whatever. Like, it's giving very culty vibes. So, there's a YouTuber, and I think her channel's like A-dubs or something, and I think her name is Alex Weiss or something. I'm not sure. I'd never heard of this girl up until yesterday even. But yesterday night I watched a different podcast and they were speaking about it and I thought it was super interesting. So essentially, I'm going to try and make this really quick because it is a very long-winded story. But yeah. So essentially what's happened is she had this podcast, she had this show with this network. The network were fucking her over, not paying her. It was just like not a very good situation for her to be in. So then apparently she eventually found out after doing YouTube and social media like consistently for 14 years. She then found out that her podcast was getting cancelled by the network that she was obviously working with, right? So she found out this. The network didn't tell her specifically, I don't think. Like, I don't think the network knew that she knew. So she found out. Then for her last podcast episode, which she knew was going to be her last episode, but like her audience didn't know, the network I don't necessarily think told her, or they maybe told her after she'd already pre-recorded this for them. So on her last episode, she had these two girls on, and she spoke about how essentially she'd almost come into contact or been taken into a cult in Los Angeles. So she went on this app called something to do with Meetup or something. It's essentially one of those apps where you can like find like specific people that are interested in a certain type of thing that you're interested in and go and meet up and do this fun thing, whatever. It's just like a very PG meetup app, I believe, from what I gathered. So I think she went on there. She wanted to go to this like what I assume was like a yoga meditation kind of vibe evening. So she went on there. Obviously, everyone was like, she got in contact with these people, decided to go, got the address, whatever. She arrived there, and then apparently, this is in all her words, but I'm maybe fucking some of this up, but It is what it is. General idea, okay? She arrived at this place. Apparently, it was very derelict. It was just like a barn kind of vibe. No lights on, nothing. Very like eerie. And then apparently she just like went round the corner and there was this like grandiose church that was like massive and like just seemed a bit out of place to be there. And then she apparently said that it was like one of those horror movie situations where, like, do you know when you turn around and then like someone's randomly just stood there, it kind of takes you off guard. Apparently it was like that, where like she turned around and there was just this woman just stood there and like just looking at her, and apparently she started like beckoning her over, and then obviously she was like, well, this is sus and dangerous and scary. And obviously she got culty vibes, like her instincts kicked in. So she was like, okay, I don't think I'm necessarily safe here. So then she obviously just turned around, ran to a car and left, right? So that's what happened with this situation. So on her final podcast, she spoke about this to these two girls. I don't know who they are, but she spoke about this situation with them. And then laughed and joked towards the end of the podcast or whatever that she might go, because obviously once she'd ran off, they then like bombarded her with emails and texts, whatever. And apparently they were like, what happened? Like, we were really excited to meet you, blah, blah, blah. And like, was obviously just like kind of like pressuring her to go back. And then I think they invited her to some sort of like another like get together situation. To which like she then joked on her podcast with these girls, oh, like maybe I'll actually go to that. But then like she was half joking, half kind of serious. The reason why I'm telling you this backstory is because it's quite important for what happens next. So that was that final podcast. She then, having laughed and joked about this very cult energy vibe, and the fact that she might actually go to the cult, and because I think she said that it was like it would be good content essentially, like whether she actually like discovered that it was a cult or whether like nothing much happened realistically. She kind of was like laughing and joking that it would just be good content anyway, which in my mind, no, I think that's a way of getting yourself killed. Or like kidnapped or some shit, right? So that's that on that. But then afterwards, she then goes offline, completely off grid for 4 to 5 months. I believe it was, if we're going to get specific, 4 months and 3 weeks, right? So she goes offline completely on every social media aspect. Is just offline, right? Bearing in mind, she'd been online consistently for the past 14 years, she says, right? So naturally, without an explanation, fans begin to worry. I'd like to think you guys would worry if I just went radio silent for like 5 months, when realistically you guys know I post like several times a week, and if not on YouTube, like I'm all over Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, you know. So I would like to think you guys would worry, but yeah, so obviously naturally her fans began to worry. Essentially 3 weeks ago she came back to social media, posted a YouTube video titled Revealing My Secret, which is ironic because her podcast was titled Revealing Your Secrets, and she'd have people on and discuss their secrets, whatever. So she was speaking about herself, and she wrote on the thumbnail, let's discuss the cult. So this whole video was about how she wasn't in a cult for the past 5 months, but instead she'd made her way to Peru, didn't tell anybody, went on this like ayahuascan retreat. And if you guys don't know what ayahuasca is, I'll quickly fill you in. I only know it through like what Katya has mentioned, like on and stuff. But essentially it's a psychedelic drug, I believe, that is extremely intense. It makes you piss and it makes you shit and vomit, and it's supposed to be like a very revealing experience, but it's really traumatic at the same time. Like it can be very dangerous and whatever. Yeah, so it's not for the faint of heart. So she went on this retreat apparently for about 5 weeks, from what I gathered, because I also watched the H3 podcast that they did with her. I've not finished it yet, but yeah. So she went on this retreat for 5 months, right? In this video that she's posted, now you guys can go watch it if you want. I don't know if I necessarily want to support it, but it is very interesting. But I imagine like she's probably rolling in the dough from this video. But yeah, so she then posted this video 3 weeks ago about how, as part of this like ayahuasca retreat trip situation, they were expected to be in isolation for, I think she said she spent like 2 weeks straight or something in isolation. Like she spent a prolonged time in isolation. She was showing videos, guys, and pictures that she'd obviously taken when she was there. And on the isolation unit, you can very clearly see a bolt on the outside of the door to the isolation unit, which obviously in my mind then alludes to the thought that maybe she was locked in there. If she wasn't, maybe other people have been, right? So someone's in isolation against their will, right? Which is fucked up, right? She then just goes on to talk about all this other stuff, but all the while in this video that she posted, this girl that she met over there, which some people have speculated is like a watcher, which apparently is like a well-known thing when you go to some like culty environments. They can have someone almost come back to normal life with you to kind of oversee some things, or like if you're speaking publicly about a scenario, a leader or a cult member can be assigned to go with you to ensure that the conversation is steered in a certain way, right? So she was in this video with this girl that she met over there, right? And this girl was also in the video with her, steering the conversation certain ways, and like there's all sorts of stuff happening. And they're both talking about these really traumatic experiences and this crazy shit that happened in a way of being like, it was such a transformative experience, like it was so super hard, but I'd do it a million times again. Like, it's made me realize so many good things about myself. All the while, she's also mentioning that when she arrived back in the UK, so she only went on this retreat for 5 weeks, right? And she was off the internet completely, nothing. And she knew. So when she was out there for this 5 weeks, she got texts and whatever from family, friends, all saying, look, we're getting bombarded by messages from obvious fans because they're worried and they're like, where is she? That in her last video, she joked that she was going to go to this cult. People are obviously now speculating that she went to this cult and now she's like maybe harmed or whatever. So naturally, people have been worried, right? And they've obviously got in contact with family and friends because why wouldn't you in that situation, right? She finds out this and decides that it's too, what does she say? Oh, this is the word she used, and I've got my opinion on this, and maybe it's controversial, I don't know. But she was saying how like it was just so debilitating for her during the time when obviously she's on this retreat, she's in isolation, she's trying to find herself, which fair enough, I'm all for bettering yourself, therapy, that whole thing, discover more about yourself. I think it's a beautiful thing, right? But yeah, so she said that she found out all this and found out that obviously everyone was worrying about her, and decided that it was too debilitating to even go on Instagram, write a quick message just being like, hi, like guys, this is how quick it'd be, right? Snap a picture, hi, I'm not dead, I'm not part of a cult, I'm alive, just on like a self-discovery journey, be back soon. That's all it would have taken for her to ease fans and stuff, or like more than it was. But instead that she decided that it was too debilitating, when in my mind it says to me that someone liked the attention and she liked the fact that this was maybe keeping some of her content alive while she was on this break, i.e. generating more income so she could be off of the internet for a longer period of time, right? While she discovered what she wanted to do next creatively. Because that was apparently the whole reason for going on this ayahuasca trip, was for her to discover what she wanted to do creatively now that obviously her show had been cancelled with this network. In my mind, it's just like, do a podcast without a network. Like, I'm doing a podcast now without a network. Do that, you know? In my mind, that's just what it read as. She kind of liked that people were worrying. And even in her more recent video, the one that was uploaded like 3 weeks ago, she literally said that like knowing that people were worrying about her was kind of giving her comfort, knowing that there was something for her to go back to. So in my mind, it was like she was glad that people were worrying about her, So then she could go back knowing that people were like eagerly awaiting her return and would tune into new content, which they have done, because I mean, here I am talking about it. I've never heard of this girl before, but I'm interested in this story. So she's getting exactly what she wanted in my mind. So yeah, the whole thing is very, very odd. And then apparently she reached out to the H3 podcast to obviously go on their podcast and talk about her situation. And she obviously, because the weird thing is like, when she obviously knew that everyone was thinking that she was a part of a cult, even knowing that she'd gone to this like ayahuasca retreat in Peru, people still speculated, well, from what she said in this video, they were like, this is a cult. What you're describing is a cult. Because apparently she also said that when she got home after this 5 weeks, right? So my thought is as well, you were away in Peru for 5 weeks discovering yourself. Okay, fair enough. You come back and you're still offline for 4 more months-ish? 4 more months-ish? What was wrong with dropping a message once you're back, when you're integrating back into society, not necessarily finding yourself anymore or not actively doing ayahuasca anymore? What was the harm in coming back online then? But this is what I mean. Like, I think she liked that people were like, where is she? Because people love a mystery, you know? So anyway, in this video, she was laughing and joking about like, did we join a cult? Did we not join a cult? And then obviously she was describing all these like really like I said, traumatizing events. And like in such a manner of like, it changed me, it's beautiful, I'd never look back, I'd do it again. And now, guys, she plans on going back to create a docuseries about the whole thing. Funnily enough, it literally sounded like, when I watched it, it sounded like a recruitment ad for this place. But anyway, so yeah, overall, it's a very, very weird story. I do suggest going to watch it. I mean, let's line our pockets even more, I suppose. Because what's funny to me is like on the H3 podcast, I only watched a little bit, but she was like this is all kind of crazy. Like, I didn't see this happening. Like, I didn't see myself being the center of this conversation. And I'm like, you orchestrated it. You planted the seed in people's minds knowingly. You said knowingly you did that because you knew that people would then be speculating when you're away. Where is she? You knowingly made it a point of leaving it open-ended and saying like, maybe I am going to join the cult, you know? So it's like, don't sit and say like, I didn't expect to be the center of the conversation, when realistically you're getting exactly what you wanted. You're getting attention and you're getting views. So like, from a business standpoint, I applaud it. I really do. From a business standpoint, sure, get your money, get your bag, get your views. But from a humanity standpoint, it's a pretty shit thing to do, because at the end of the day, you're very much playing with people's emotions and like loyal fans that you've garnered and gained over the previous 14 years. You've literally just played them. And yeah, there's loads more into it, and there's loads more that I'm not talking about. So if you would like to go watch it, because it is a very interesting watch. But that's essentially the beginning and the end of it, is that like she's almost been playing with her fans' emotions to almost keep her content and channel alive while she went on a trip. It's kind of crazy. Like I said, I'm not bashing anyone that wants to be on like a self-love, self-awareness journey. I think it's a beautiful thing, but I also think be careful about preaching it to your audience. Be careful about playing with your audience's feelings. I just think there was nothing wrong with her openly saying, guys, I'm going to be going away for a little while. My podcast has been cancelled. Like, that's what I'd do on this channel. Like, I literally told you at the beginning of this one, I'm going to be taking like a month break from just the podcast, just to try and like spice it up a bit, whatever, right? So and I will never understand why some social media people, and this is such a big thing, like I watch a few YouTubers, and I'm not going to name any names, but there's one in particular that every time I watch his stuff, it's like every single time he's like, sorry, I've not been posting much. I've just been finding it really hard to pick up my camera and film things. And I'm like, the fuck? You've been doing YouTube for months and months and months. I don't know why I'm saying months. Years and years and years. It's not hard to pick up a camera and film yourself if that's your job. Do you know what I mean? I don't understand why some people find it so difficult to in her case, so difficult just to put a short little message out there to put people at ease, so then you're not messing with people's emotions. But this is why, in my mind, it's just like, I know exactly why you did it, because any normal, good human who actually cared about their audience's well-being and like cared about their audience full stop would not have played with their emotions like that and chose to stay silent for months and months on end, when realistically you were only on this retreat for 5 weeks, right? But anyway, that's kind of the beginning on the end of it. It's a wild story. I don't know why I decided to tell you, but I just think some of you might find that stuff interesting, because I found it very interesting. But yeah, no hate to her. Get your life, do what you want to do. It's your content, it's your channel, you do you. But I just think it's a little bit fishy, it's a little bit sus, and who knows? Maybe now she's part of an actual cult. And I just hope that she's okay. And I hope that moving forward, like she's happy mentally. And if she is, and what she said is true, and this isn't a cult, and everything was magnificent, even though by the sounds of things it was traumatizing to high hell, to high heaven even, then good for her. But yeah, that's kind of where I wanted to end that. But I guess let me know your thoughts on that below. And I'm not sure if any of you will have heard about this story already or heard this going around, because I know that some people on TikTok have been making videos about it. But yeah, let me know your thoughts, because it's a wild story. And it's so crazy to think that there is actual cults out there existing. And it's baffling to me that some people would knowingly put themselves in, maybe not an explicitly open cult, but an explicitly cult scenario, like culty vibe, you know? But anyway, let's move on to some Am I the Assholes, just to round off this episode. Okay, so if you're new to this concept, I've done an episode on this before. They're really fun. They're essentially it's a Reddit forum titled "Am I the Asshole?" Essentially, it's kind of where people write in on this forum, speak about certain scenarios that have gone on, certain things that have happened in their life, how they handled the situation, and it's kind of up to the reader, i.e. me today, to determine whether we think that they were the arsehole in the situation or not. Okay? That's the preface of it. I love these. I think they're super fun, because it's just like, it's someone else's problems. And guys, some of these problems are problems that you wouldn't even see coming. Like, it's crazy some of the shit that people get up to. But anyway, am I the asshole for calling my niece prettier than my daughter? Let's have a look. So, let's see how long it is. Oh, it's not too long. Okay, we can do this. So, we begin. I'm an... Oh, God. Esthetician? I'm not sure if I'm saying that right. I could be getting that wrong. I'm an esthetician. Some of the services I provide are waxing and facials. The pictures on my website and in my waiting room desperately needed to be updated. So I asked my niece, 19, if I could get pictures of her in exchange for a few free waxes and facials. Nice. I like that. Using what you've got at hand. Like, I used to use my sister's, like, when I was at college, I obviously was doing like photography and whatnot. I used to rope my sister in to do photo shoots of her. Like, it was just fun time. So yeah, use what you've got at your disposal babes, rather than hiring someone. My niece is a very beautiful girl with nearly perfect skin and very thick, dark eyebrows. Okay, very specific. She's also part Middle Eastern and has a lot of those features, which is important to me since most of my clients are Middle Eastern women. Makes sense, because it's your target audience. Love it. My daughter, 17, heard about me using my niece's pictures and asked why I didn't ask her. I tried to be vague and say niece's skin color and features matched what I was looking for and fit my clients better, but she kept pressing and refused to take the answers I gave her until I finally snapped and told her that I won't be using her. She doesn't take care of her skin and it shows, and because drawn on eyebrows will not help me at all. Okay. She started crying, thinks I called her ugly, and say I favour my niece over her. She's refusing to talk to me, and she got my parents on her side. They think I should have done both the girls, or neither, because it's not fair. But this is business, and not everything is fair in business. Ooh, Ooh, okay. This one's actually it's murky water, this one, I feel like, because part of me is like, it is business. You got to just choose the people in your life that are right for it. Like you said, your daughter, she draws on her eyebrows, which obviously like eyebrows and waxes and facials and whatnot, like it's all part of your brand. And like you want people to see natural eyebrows that have just been like preened to perfection, and that draws business, right? Do I think you could have asked her to just wipe off her eyebrows and do her eyebrows nice for her? Yes. In terms of skin, I think it's very difficult because you got to understand, some like these girls are teenagers. They have hormonal breakouts. My sister specifically, like she used to suffer really bad with hormonal breakouts. So I think the fact that you've almost used something that is totally out of her control because she is kind of growing up as a reason to not use her to obviously help in a family business, like you being her mum, I think it is a bit of a low blow. And I think like, yes, I know she wasn't necessarily taking your reasons until you said that. I still think like, I don't necessarily think you need to really go into detail about like the fact that she doesn't take care of her skin and whatnot. I do think you could have just made a point of just doing photos of both of them. Why not? And then just use the ones of the niece to promo more. Like, have a few of your daughter in the store, sure, but like, she doesn't have to be the face of your fucking company. Do you know what I mean? Like, there was definitely ways of going around it. I feel like you could have done pictures of them both rather than essentially, yes, saying that your niece is just prettier and looks better and is more of a staple for your company than your own daughter. I do think it was kind of brutal, but I do understand that it is just business. But I think at the end of the day, especially considering, like I said, they are teenagers, they're going through a lot. She was obviously going to get upset knowing that she's also a female. Do you know what I mean? Because realistically, like if my parents had a business and they needed pictures and I was of the gender that they were looking for, I'd imagine I'd expect them to at least ask me to be a part of it. Because who knows, like you could have asked her and she might have been like, oh no, like, I don't necessarily feel comfortable with that. But I think it would have been nice for her to at least have been asked. Let's see what people have said. Someone put, you're the arsehole. You should make it clear on your website that it's only worth booking your services if your skin... Oh... This is the thing. Oh my God, that's a complete other topic. Yes, because someone's put, you should make it clear on your website that it's only worth booking your services if your skin is already nearly perfect. Because realistically, your daughter would have been a good variation for you to have. Because if your specialty is facials, what was wrong with giving your daughter some facials, like showing her transformation if your facials work? Do you know what I mean? That's gonna almost garner more customers, because realistically they're going to see that her skin necessarily wasn't perfect to begin with, and with using your facial you transformed your daughter's skin. Like I almost think that is actually, yeah, that's almost a better idea, because you've chosen your niece knowing that she's already got near perfect skin, so your facials realistically aren't going to do too much more, or they're not going to have as drastic changes if they are good. And on top of that, she's got nice thick eyebrows, so you've got loads to work with, and you probably don't have as hard a time trying to like make them do what you want to do. It sounds to me like your daughter was necessarily the better option, because it would have been great to show her transformation from before to after. But it just makes me think that maybe your services don't necessarily work as well as you think. Yeah, someone's put, a before and after photo would be the way to go and less deceptive. Exactly. Make your daughter over and make her feel good about herself and use her to obviously show her transformation. I think that's great. Yeah, someone's put, of course, you are the arsehole. Your daughter isn't stupid. That's why she wasn't accepting your initial answers. Then you snapped at her and confirmed her worst fears. Yeah, exactly. Congratulations. This might be the first time I've actually witnessed the birth of a young woman's insecurities at the hands of her toxic mum. Wow. Yeah, everyone's saying that they are the arsehole. You are the arsehole for what you said to your daughter as someone who has struggled with bad skin all of their life from hormonal imbalances and it having nothing to do with how I take care of my skin. Exactly, I said this. Like, the fact that she's a teenager and her mum's telling her that she doesn't take care of her skin when realistically, skin is a difficult thing to get to grips with. Like, when I was younger, my skin's only recently started to like clear up. Like, I still get the odd breakout here and there, but yeah, like my skin hasn't been this clear all my life. Like, I used to really suffer with some breakouts. So yeah, overall, you are the asshole, darling. Sorry, but you are. Business-wise, I'm not sure you went with the smartest option. Okay, let's do another one. Am I the asshole for not taking care of my sick husband? But they've put husband in like quotations. So I wonder what this is all about. All right, let's go. Not too long either, so let's do it. Hey all, thanks for the read. Let's get into it. Me, 34 female, and my husband, 34 male. God, we're the same age. Oh, are getting divorced. That's why she put it in. That's why she put it in quotes. So they're getting divorced. We are almost done with this process, and it has been contentious. Don't know what that means. We have been living separate for over a year. Recently, he got a stomach bug. He was struggling to take care of the children on his days. Thursday, he called my mother, who went over to care for him and the children. I had the children on Friday, as planned. He called me Saturday morning and told me that he is still unwell. I offered to trade future days with him, but he did not want that. He stated it was my responsibility as his legal wife to go over to his house and care for him and the children. I honestly laughed because I thought he was kidding. He was not. I told him I would keep the children if it would help, but otherwise it was not my issue. So far, I agree. You're getting divorced. Sure, you're legally still bound in this marriage, but does it mean that it's your fucking responsibility to go and look after a grown man who doesn't live with you anymore? No. I'm sure he's got other people in his life that will look after him, right? And if he can't, and if he's unwell enough to look after the kids, if he's a good father, he should want to trade the days with you and be like, you keep the kids until I'm back well again, and then I'll just make up the time when I'm well. That would be my thoughts anyway. He told me this is why I would not be able to have a successful relationship, because I'm not able to give myself up for others. I thought I was in the right, but my parents took his side and were actually mad at me for letting him suffer. But he had the flu, which sucks, but is not overly serious. They are not talking to me. Am I the asshole? I don't think you're the asshole. I mean, I've never been married. Do you know what I mean? I've never been married. I don't really know the judge. But at the end of the day, you're getting divorced. That, to me, that says that you don't necessarily want to be around this person anymore. There's a reason for the divorce happening. You're gracious enough to be like still allowing the kids to go over there when obviously he's still unwell. To me, you have every right to be like, no, I'm keeping the kids. You can make up the days when you're well again. Just relax, get over the flu. The thing is, I live alone. If I get the flu, I'm not going to make someone come over to my house and fucking look after me. Like, I can just lay in bed and get over it. Like, it's really not that serious. I don't think you're the arsehole. Let's see what people are saying. Someone's put, I'm dying over here. He's separated and soon to be divorced and on his own. Welcome to the big time, dude. Your parents, that's the real mystery. I'd ignore them all, not the arsehole. Yeah, everyone's saying not the arsehole. Not the arsehole. You offered to take care of the children if he couldn't. That's the most you can do. He needs to learn to take care of himself. I don't understand your parents, though. Were they, generally speaking, unhappy with your decision to get divorced? I see that your mother is still in contact with your son, soon-to-be ex-husband, and willing to help him out. Yeah, maybe your parents don't necessarily approve of the fact that you're getting divorced, and maybe they wish that you'd stay with him, and that's why they're taking his side to make you feel bad about it. It's weird. Your parents are the asshole. You have a legal, in brackets, and a moral responsibility to take care of your kids. That does not need to be extended to your soon-to-be ex, not the asshole. Yeah, could not agree more. Definitely not the asshole for that one. Let's do one more and then we'll call it quits because this episode's knocking on to almost an hour. Let's pick a good one. Oh, this one's perfect. Am I the asshole for standing up during a Beyonce concert? This is perfect because I'm going next week, and I mean, hopefully one or two of you will be too. So let's go. It's pretty lengthy, so this is going to be a good one to end on, I think. So I'm a huge Beyonce fan and have been my whole life, especially being a Houston, Texas native. This was my first time being able to afford a ticket to her show, and I'm currently living back and forth between Sweden and the States. I've never been to a concert in Sweden, and I was very shocked by how unlively the crowd was. I did see that, because that's where she started off the tour, isn't it? And the crowd was pretty lackluster, apparently. And from the videos that I saw, like, I don't think she was, like, Beyonce was, like, trying to make them liven up a bit, which is wild. No dancing or singing really from most people in my section. Closest non-GA to the stage. Right, okay. But I was out of my seat singing and having a blast as soon as the show started, and a woman and her partner behind me asked me if I could sit down so they could be able to see. Okay, this is murky waters because I went to a Work the World tour. I got tickets for my birthday one year or Christmas one year, I can't remember. And the girls sat next to us were like smoking, like the vaping, and they were like being ridiculously loud. Were like standing up so we couldn't see. Like, and it was pissing me off. I'm not gonna lie. So this is gonna be interesting. I assumed since she was starting the show with ballads and I was doing a bit much and apologised and sat down. But once the energy picked up, I was back on my feet dancing. There were like 2 other people on my row doing the same. I honestly had the time of my life and even cried a bit. Ridiculous, I know. Not ridiculous, darling. Beyonce's an incredible performer. When the show was over and I turned to leave, the lady said, "You're not the only one who paid for this, you know. Is that how they act in your village?" And I was too stunned to say anything back. I could understand if this was an orchestra concert or something, but her latest album is focused on house music and the ballroom scene, which is very lively. Yeah, the whole point of Renaissance is like dancing and partying, and like I'm expecting to go and probably be on my feet dancing and like enjoying it for the most part. And to be fair, I think I'll be sat in a section that's probably going to be a lot of sat down people, so obviously I'll read the room. Like, I think the thing is, like, when I go, I'll probably read the room, and if people are all sat down, then I probably won't stand up because I think that is disrespectful. It's unfortunate that like not everyone's on the same energy and wants to stand up, but I suppose people do get seated seats for a reason because there is a standing up section, isn't there? This happened weeks back, but I can't even enjoy my memories of the experience because I keep getting this pit in my stomach feeling like I ruined someone else's experience. Am I the asshole? I mean, long story short, you are the asshole because realistically you did ruin someone else's experience. I understand that you obviously paid for your tickets and you wanted to be up dancing, having an amazing time, and I completely get that. But I think being a person going to a concert, getting seated seats, I think it's kind of the responsibility of us to kind of read the room and just kind of see. Like I said, if the whole group is sat down, I'm not then standing up because then I would feel like a dickhead. And then I also think like people have every right to be angry because you are just blocking someone's complete view. When how do we know that they don't have the means to be able to stand up for long periods of time? You don't know. Like, people have things going on, you know? And also some people just don't want to stand up at concerts, and that's totally fine. Like, I sat down at the Work the World one, and but majority of my group were, like, the majority of my section were. So yeah, let's see what people say. You are the asshole. You sang and danced at the concert as you do when in the States. That's fine when you're in the States, but you weren't in the States. You were in another country where it was clear to you from the start that people were sitting in their seats to watch. As soon as you keyed in on that, everyone remained seated to watch, and you were the only one up and about, and someone asked you to sit down early on, you should have sat your dance happy self down and stayed seated to watch until such time as you saw everyone stand. If they never do, you stay seated. I do think that's it. There's just like the certain etiquette, I think, to concerts. And I think it's unfortunate sometimes if you're on a different vibe to the rest of the people in your section, but I think it is what it is. It's one thing you just sign up for, I imagine. And yeah, obviously Sweden's just very different to the US. Now, I don't know about London. Like I'm thinking that the majority of London would probably be pretty likely to be kind of lively and wanting to dance, but who knows? I'll see when I get there. You're the asshole. By your own admission, it was obvious that other people were not behaving like you wanted to. The fact that it might be acceptable someplace else 8,000 miles away is irrelevant. Right, yeah. So the people are just saying they are the asshole. Yes, you expect one thing in the States, but not every place is like the States. Totally. I guess we'll see what my Beyonce experience is like, because I am going to be vlogging the experience. So I guess tune in probably after the next podcast episode, or maybe before the next podcast episode. I'd imagine afterwards. But yeah, I assume tune in and find out. But with all that said, I'm going to leave this here because it has been almost an hour. This has been a very fun episode. It's been a very all over there episode. So if you enjoy these more like sporadic, like kind of different segments, not necessarily doing the same thing all the way through, or not necessarily talking about similar stuff all the way through, then let me know, because I can definitely do more of that in the future. Look forward to hopefully maybe some co-hosts in the future. Who knows? With all that said, this has been another episode down the drain. Goodbye.